sure. All right, we're on to the Fordham Rams here. Let's talk to them right now. We'll start on the men's side. Keith Ergo, the conversations had with him over the years, boy, you even think he was going to end up becoming a head coach, right? All of a sudden things changed. He goes there, coaching changes to Villanova. He becomes the head man. What a great season they had a couple years ago. Brought back the excitement and the fan base at Rose Hill. I mean, it was rocking. Last year, dropped down a little bit, right? Okay, they went 13-20. How do you assess it all, Coach, from what you've seen from him in the couple years there? It's been pretty impressive nonetheless, but what's your thoughts?
No question. Keith is an energy guy. His program, that comes out when you watch them play. And again, not being analytical, but when you lose 7 games by 5 points or less, and now one of the key factors, they were a 66% foul shooting team. It's not good enough. Those are the areas. Situational basketball and foul shooting has to improve this year.
Yeah, I would say they brought in a grad transfer from Notre Dame that I'm interested to see play, Matt Zona. Coach Ergo has said he's been a great addition. He's a mature, incredible leader, shot over 42% from 3, and, Coach, what I love the most, compiled a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. So you talk about teams wanting to get better year after year. Under Keith Ergo, you got to be able to take care of the basketball. It's important that you bring in someone that can help share the load and do that.
Coach is ready. Let's go to the press conference. We'll hear from him, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the women's side.
Welcome back to the afternoon session of Atlantic 10 Basketball Media Day. Joining us up here now from the Fordham men's basketball program, head coach Keith Ergo and student athlete Zach Riley. Coach, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief opening statement on the state of your program heading into the season.
Just really excited to be back, and obviously I'm from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, so very excited for March. But right now, our guys are working extremely hard. We have over 60% of our scoring returning this year. We have a very mature and old group. We've got 2 6-year seniors that I believe could potentially be all-conference players. We've got a 5th-year senior and transfer in Matt Zona from Notre Dame, who we're excited about. Jackie Johnson, who played at Duquesne as a freshman and transferred over from UNLV, who's also a senior, and then Zach Riley. So to have 5 seniors with an incredible amount of experience, along with 3 juniors returning who have all started multiple games in the Atlantic 10, we're very excited about the maturity, the energy, the experience we have, and the continuity. So just looking forward to getting started and very excited for this year.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll go ahead and take questions from the crowd.
Keith, hope all is well. Kind of the idea of continuity. I mean, it's really 2 years in a row that you've had a fair bit of that. How much do you think that has helped in terms of building things toward what you want to build them toward?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly unique, obviously, in today's college athletics. And for us, it's huge when you're trying to create something and build tradition for both men's and women's basketball at Fordham. I think it's really important continuity for us, especially with younger teams really struggling across the country. You want to try to get old and stay old, but to be able to do that with guys that have been in our program like Zach for 4 years, Abdu for 4 years, Will Richardson for 3, Ramad Dean for 3. So it allows us a lot of continuity, and last year we lost 10 games by 5 points or less. So these guys understand what it takes, and their drive and their understanding of the Atlantic 10 is hopefully going to bode really well for this year, starting right away.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Coach, I know it's early in the season. I know you had a couple practices and what have you. What that stood out for this team thus far?
You know what? Just, again, our connectivity, our maturity, our experience. We're so much further ahead right now than we have ever been. A couple years ago when we won 25 games, we had Khalid Moore, Darius Quizmo, Roslav, older guys, but now we're not just old and experienced. We also have guys that have been at Fordham for a number of years and also have been at the Atlantic 10 level. So they know what to expect. They understand a lot of games are going to come down to one possession or less. They have raised the level of competition. It's a player-led locker room right now, which I think is extremely important. So the energy, the enthusiasm, the competitive nature has been through the roof. A lot less coaching, which is probably better for everybody when I'm at the helm. But I think it's really our players taking ownership and pushing each other to be really, really good, not just on the court, but off the court. And we can see that connectivity in the locker room. it's displayed on the court between the lines. And so I think it's a really exciting time for Fordham and Fordham basketball.
Keith, the backcourt options in particular with Medor and Richardson, just how much do you feel like those are going to be guys that you really lean on, and how important are they to your success this year?
They're incredibly important. I think Jaffe Medor is as talented as any guard in the league. I thought, he played extremely well, put us on his back at St. Bonaventure last year for a big win. He became a closer. Unfortunately, scores the first 5 points the next game at home against Davidson, ends up having a stress fracture in his foot, which at the time we thought was an ankle sprain. So he missed a game and a half. Never was really healthy. We didn't know it was a stress fracture until after the year. But he ends up being arguably the best or second best player on the floor at Dayton behind Deron Holmes in a very close basketball game. So, his second year in the league, his summer's been off the charts. His maturity's been fantastic. Will Richardson, obviously, last year was no longer on the second page of the scout. Freshman year, he started half the season, 43% from three, which was third in all of the Atlantic 10, first among freshmen. So last year, he was on the first page of the scout, and that takes some getting used to. He really finished the year strong. His leadership, his maturity, being at Fordham for 3 years has been really fantastic. And then you add guys like Zach Riley, who have been playing as hard as anybody for 4 years. You add Jackie Johnson, who's a pit bull, bringing a lot of competitive energy to practice, having played at Duquesne and also UNLV. So I love our backcourt. I think it's really old, really experienced, and I think we can compete with pretty much anybody in the league.
Zach, Keith mentioned all those tight games last season. Just what do you feel like you guys have done this offseason to kind of ensure that those sorts of results can flip, and how close do you guys think you are to being back in the top half of the conference?
Well, I think the big thing with those close games is winning every single possession. So the game isn't necessarily won or lost in those last minute, 2 minutes. It's the 38 minutes beforehand. So I think just knowing that every single possession is vital and key to our winning the game is what has changed this year. I think as the maturity in our locker room grows, we know that we need to battle every single possession to eventually be in those positions at the end of the game on the right side this year.
All right. Thank you both.
Go Wolves.